My name is Liz Duffy, and I am the Director of Pathology Laboratory Sciences program here at Boston University. And I would love to take you through a little bit about what our program's like and what it's all about. So our small Boston-based pathology program was originally designed to create a pool of really concrete, strong research scientists who had an understanding of pathology. But really, as our program has grown, so too have our goals. And so now we really are taking in these students who have this really diverse interest in science. And so we want to kind of reflect that. And so we've changed a lot of our program and what it means to be a pathology master's student. So many of our students go on to wanting to do a PhD program, they want to go to medical school, and some want to stay in science at a master's level, working in industry or in a clinical research lab. And so we really try and set up the experience to best meet everyone's needs. Our department works very collaboratively with a lot of different departments across the campus. So we work very closely with the Cancer Care Center. We work with the infectious diseases laboratories. We have doctors who work in metabolomics, proteomics, biocomputational, and we'll talk a little bit more about those researchers as we go on. So we have both basic science scientists as well as physician scientists who can, do the wet bench laboratory, or you have your biocomputational, or you have the people who are going to be doing that translational work. And this really helps to create better opportunities for our students to find the situation that best fits them. Our program is fairly small, usually only about 8 to 10 students a year. So it really allows for a better communication between our pathology and the students, and really open up those opportunities for feedback and better communication there. We have an entire year that's dedicated towards your thesis-based research. So you work over the summer to really kind of gather all of that data and work with your primary investigator to really develop that hypothesis and to design those research plans that are going to best answer that question. Many of our students go on to have publications coming out of this, not all, but a lot. And it really helps to strengthen any applications that they're having afterwards. Again, we have kind of a wide variety in our career diversity with medical school and PhD programs, as well as many who've found gainful employment, particularly in the Boston area, given it's such a hub for science. Our overall program structure is designed to be a 2-year course, with the first year being really heavily didactic. So we have the first semester is probably the toughest time-wise because some of those courses take up a significant portion of your week, with biochemistry and histopathology, as well as biostatistics. Meanwhile, you're also kind of working in some of those lab rotations to try and find that best fit. The second semester is a little bit less time demanding, although still fairly heavily didactic, with immunology and pathology. And then we have another course called Special Topics. This rotates every year. So currently right now, students are taking human biospecimen in research. Other years they've taken Alzheimer's disease, and then other times it's been kind of a course that's based on signaling, transduction, and others. So every year it switches up a little bit. You continue your path rotations until you identify the lab you want to work on. And then over the summer, you've selected the lab that you are working with. And again, you're really kind of designing that hypothesis and the research credits, or the research design to go along with it. In your second year, you're only taking part-time courses. And so you are signing up to do a PATH seminar, in which many different speakers will come in throughout the course. You're responsible for kind of driving the discussion with those speakers and asking them questions. And then in the spring, you are finishing up your thesis. The thesis is due right around now. So I have many of my students who are, in the throes of writing and finishing that all up. It's due at the end of the month. And so it goes by very, very quickly as time goes on. And it is, regardless, it is 4 semesters total and 32 credits that will design pretty much any master's students in the United States, basically. But it can be done in less than 2 years. We've had some students who are able to do it in the year's course, but that is a very ambitious track to do that, to also work in that thesis, but definitely possible. So again, talking about those rotations, we encourage you to do up to 3 rotations in that first year to really find the lab that best fits your needs. This is a great way to expose the students to the different personalities that make up our research institution, as well as to the different techniques that are available to them. Some students have no concept as to the techniques that they want to learn. Others have a very definite path, and so they use those rotations differently. If you know for sure that you want to do sequencing work and that you really want to understand the sequencing that is involved in prostate cancer, then you probably have a pretty designed path for you, because there are just a few investigators who are there. And so at that point, you're really trying to find that lab that best fits that kind of personality for you. Where other students might not have an idea of really what they want to study. They're interested in cancer, but they're also interested in neurodegenerative diseases, but they're also kind of interested in biocomputational. And so in their cases, they might be really trying to explore the techniques, and because they care less about the disease structure necessarily, and it's more that, oh, they really found out that they love to do biocomputational work. So they're going to work with the biocomputational lab who happens to be working in cancer for that project, whatever. But it allows the students to really kind of find the best fit for them. It also is a great way to network and socialize with other students who are outside this program, but on campus doing other fields of research, and exposes that to the different opportunities. Because while your degree would say pathology, at the end of the day, you might be working in biochemistry, or you might be working in pharmacology. And so it really kind of opens up your eyes to different opportunities for your future endeavors. This is just a sampling of some of the people that our students have worked with over the years, and they stray from basic research scientists to biocomputational to clinical physician scientists. And they also are not all primarily in pathology. Some of these are in the Department of Medicine, some are over at the Veterans Affairs Hospital over in Jamaica Plain, and some are in the Department of Dermatology even, but they really have such an interesting scope of what they're looking at that our students have really reached out and done the work. And we really encourage our students to be the ones to find the labs. So we don't set anything up for you. We do assist. So if people aren't responding to you, or you don't necessarily know who might fit into an area that you want to look at, we help you identify that. But we allow you to kind of take ownership over your degree and make it look like what you want. Pathology is a very highly growing field with over 26 million jobs that mention pathology in their job description, and that's only expected to rise. Over 2 million of them require the minimum of a master's degree, and over 2,000 of those are in Massachusetts, with Boston and Cambridge being such a hub for science because of the number of hospitals and industry level jobs that are available here. And so a lot of those careers from a master's level have job titles like lab manager or senior research assistant, medical scientist, or a laboratory technologist, and even a faculty member. So you apply directly through GMS, as with any of the programs that are in that umbrella. And so you can find out more information directly on the GMS webpage, even where you went to register for this virtual fair. But we require a minimum of a bachelor's degree from a recognized college or university. We suggest to have courses in chemistry, biology, and physics and calculus. They're not required, but we have found that students who have those courses are best prepared for some of those initial courses, particularly in biochemistry and histopathology. If you are an international student where English was not either your primary language or you were not taught in English, then you're required to take the TOEFL exam, where if one of those do fall where you were taught in English, you can get a waiver for that. We also require a personal statement, and we want to see in the personal statement reasons that you want to come to BU specifically, and specifically to our program. What can our program do for you, and what do you bring to pathology? It's also an opportunity for you to explain challenges that you've overcome. For instance, if your GPA wasn't the best in undergrad, it allows you to kind of explain why that might have happened and why you have overcome that, mechanisms that you've put into place to make sure that that doesn't get repeated. We also look for 3 letters of recommendation, and we ask for that to be on institutional letterhead. And we hope that at least one of those can speak to your ability to handle coursework. Then you will need to turn in transcripts with that, although at the time of application, they do not need to be official transcripts. So I am happy to take a few questions. And the other thing that I did want to mention is kind of timing deadlines. We are a fairly open and rolling program, so we can take international applications up until July 1st and domestic applications up until July 15th for entrance in July, or sorry, in the fall. So if you have any questions, please either put it in the chat, or you can go ahead and unmute, or feel free to email me afterwards, and I'm happy to answer questions that way as well. Nothing? I had such a good presentation. You guys know everything you need to know?
I have a question, a small question.
Yeah.
So we have to write just a personal statement.
Yes.
So in the personal statement, can we talk about like what research we've already done, or like what?
Yeah,
or
so that's
what is really, or what should we write in the personal statement?
Yeah, absolutely great question. So the personal statement is a way to introduce yourself to us. So it's a great place for you to explain past research, to tell us why you're a really good candidate for this program. So what are you kind of bringing to the table for us? So that's where you can talk about the institution that you went to, the opportunities that you've had to do research in the past, if you do community service, if you've shadowed at hospitals before and that's your interest. The other thing is why are you interested in us? Because you might be applying to a lot of different schools right now, and we understand that, but what stood out to you about our program? Why do you like us? That kind of helps us identify the people who are really passionate about coming here, and because we really want this to be a really successful relationship between our students and us, because it's our benefit to have someone who really, really wants to be here, because you're more likely to be more engaged in the work that you put out, which is better for everyone. Does that make
Okay,
sense?
thank you.
Yeah. Is everyone enjoying the virtual fair? You can just give thumbs up too if you want. Good, I'm glad. I really like that they're able to do this now, and you know, these not all things COVID have been terrible. The way that we can now kind of open this up for everybody to allow everyone to kind of have this experience. In the past, you know, we were restricted to kind of doing things on campus, and so it was very limited, and people who were out on the West Coast couldn't come here. So it's nice that we can do this now. Is there a chance for internship other than a lab rotation after the program? That's always a possibility. It is never a guarantee, and we can't guarantee employment, but we have had several students who, one kind of actually set up, they scour the HR websites to try and identify labs that might be looking for people, and that can help them offset the cost through tuition remission and things of that nature. So that's one thing. And then for after the program, there's definitely, we have many of our students who actually stay on working here because they've set up really good relationships with their investigators, and they want to continue their project and finish it out. So we have one student who actually was undergrad here at BU, then is doing his master's level work, and will probably stay for a year afterwards working here because he really wants to see the completion of his project. And then we've had other students who, someone who's working for me currently actually in my lab stayed on because of the level of her work. So it's always a possibility that either employment or internship afterwards is possible. Well, unfortunately, I need to actually hop off. I am giving a final today for one of my courses that I'm teaching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your virtual fair experience. And if you need anything, you can reach out. And then, yes, just to finish up that last question, is there a thesis requirement? Absolutely. We are a research-based program. And so the second year is pretty much dedicated towards writing your thesis. There's not really any minimum lengths, although I will say that I've never seen one shorter than 35 pages. They typically are between 50 and 100 pages for our thesis. And so we definitely connect better with the students who want to have hypothesis-driven research as their goals, and because there are other programs out there that don't have that requirement as their end goals. Thank you, everyone. And remember that this is also recorded, so you feel free to reach out to GMS to get access to these recordings afterwards. And then I am always available by email. Thanks so much.